This video is about the one biological mechanism that determines whether your arteries are healing or hardening right now, and the specific foods that interrupt it. Stay with me. Most people your age have been eating the same heart-healthy foods for years: the olive oil, the fish, the berries, and their arteries are still narrowing anyway. The reason is something your doctor almost certainly has never explained to you, not because they're hiding it, but because there isn't enough time in a 15-minute appointment to explain how plaques actually form. Once you understand that mechanism, you'll know exactly which foods target each step of the damage and which ones are secretly working against you. By the end of this video, you'll know the exact question to ask your doctor at your next appointment that most people never think to ask. I'm going to tell you about a patient of mine named Robert. He's 67. He did everything right for 15 years, and his arteries were still narrowing. His story is going to change how you understand every single food choice you make after today. And before this video is over, I'm going to show you one non-food intervention, something you can start this week, that a randomized controlled trial proved can actually shrink existing arterial plaques, not slow them, not stabilize them, shrink them, by an amount comparable to statin therapy. That finding alone is worth staying for. If you're not already subscribed to The Healthy Habit, I'd ask you to do that right now and turn on your notifications. This channel exists because honest information about your daily health choices used to require a doctor in your family, and it shouldn't have to. I'm Dr. Gerald Mark. I'm a practicing physician, and this channel exists because I got tired of watching patients follow advice they didn't understand. My job is to translate what the actual research shows into habits you can actually live with. That's the healthy habit. Here's what I see in my practice almost every week. Someone comes in around your age and tells me they've been eating Mediterranean, or DASH, or fish and olive oil, and their last imaging still shows plaque progression. The first thing they ask is, what diet should I try next? But that's the wrong question. The right question is, do you actually understand what's happening inside your arteries that's creating those plaques? Here's something I want you to sit with. The foods that are most aggressively marketed as heart-healthy are sometimes the ones doing the most damage to your arteries. The packaging is not the medicine, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which ones I mean. Think of the inside of your artery like the lining of a healthy garden hose: smooth, flexible, almost frictionless. Now imagine that lining getting tiny scratches and rough patches. That's endothelial damage, and rough surfaces catch things. Once that barrier is damaged, LDL particles slip through like water finding a crack in a dam. But here's what's critical. Those particles get oxidized. Think of it like rust forming on exposed metal. Rust spreads, and it attracts attention. Your immune system sends cleanup crews called macrophages. But these crews get overwhelmed. They start absorbing the oxidized LDL until they're so full they can't move. They become foam cells, and foam cells are the actual building blocks of plaque. The cycle repeats: more oxidation, more immune activation, more plaque growth. The foods that actually reverse this process target multiple steps in that cascade. Some reduce oxidative stress, some calm down the immune overreaction. Some lower the ApoB particles that actually drive plaque formation. That's the framework you need to understand. Robert had done everything right. He switched to olive oil in his 50s, ate salmon twice a week, and felt genuinely confident about his heart health. At 65, a routine stress test showed moderate plaque in his left anterior descending artery. He called me from the parking lot of the imaging center. He'd already sat in his car for 20 minutes before he could pick up the phone. When I answered, the first thing he said was, "I did everything I was supposed to do. How is this happening?" The truth was, Robert had been eating foods that protected him, but he was doing it without understanding why they mattered. So when life got busy, he'd grab a breakfast bar because the package said, whole grain. He'd drink orange juice thinking it was the same as eating oranges. He'd use cheaper oils because he thought olive oil was too expensive. He wasn't being reckless. He was just making choices without understanding the mechanism, and those small exceptions, over time, allowed the cascade to keep building. Let me walk you through the high-yield foods that appear across every major atherosclerosis study. Phytosterols, found in nuts, seeds, legumes, and leafy greens. They look almost identical to cholesterol. When you eat them, they compete with cholesterol for absorption in your intestines. Your liver senses less cholesterol is being absorbed, so it pulls more LDL particles out of your bloodstream. Over time, you have fewer ApoB-carrying particles circulating through your arteries. A meta-analysis found eating more phytosterols reduces LDL by an average of 14 milligrams per deciliter. That's significant because reducing ApoB is one of the most direct ways to slow and even reverse plaque progression. Tonight, add 1 tablespoon of ground flax seed to your breakfast tomorrow, or grab a handful of almonds as a snack. One small addition. Robert switched his afternoon snack to a handful of almonds and sesame seeds. Small change. Targeted mechanism. Lycopene. Tomatoes, watermelon, pink grapefruit, guava. It's one of the most powerful antioxidants you can access through food. It directly targets oxidative stress before it can damage your LDL particles. A major study from Finland found people with the highest lycopene intake had significantly slower atherosclerosis progression. Cooked tomatoes are even higher in lycopene than fresh ones. Tonight, if you're not already using tomato sauce, start. One small adjustment to your dinner routine can target one of the main drivers of plaque formation. Robert added tomato sauce to his weekly rotation, not as a diet change, as a precision intervention. Flavonoids, berries, green tea, onions, leafy greens. They make your arterial walls less sticky, so fewer immune cells can attach and accelerate plaque growth. One meta-analysis showed people drinking 3 or more cups of green or black tea daily had a 21% lower risk of stroke compared to less than 1 cup. Tonight, if you're not already drinking tea, start with 1 cup tomorrow morning. If you already drink it, make sure it's real tea, green or black, not herbal. Robert became a green tea drinker. 1 cup, then 2. It became part of his routine. Extra virgin olive oil. It repairs your damaged endothelium and works through multiple pathways to reduce inflammation and stabilize plaques. Studies comparing high olive oil consumption to low consumption show significant reductions in heart attacks and strokes. Tonight, look at your cooking oil. If it's not extra virgin olive oil, that's your starting point. Use it for salads, for finishing dishes, for the foods where you can actually taste it. The polyphenols degrade with high heat, so don't cook with it at high temperatures. Robert replaced his vegetable oils with extra virgin olive oil. One decision. Multiple mechanisms targeted. Fatty fish, salmon, mackerel, sardines. Omega-3 fatty acids increase your nitric oxide production, which stabilizes plaques and makes them less likely to rupture. The multi-ethnic study of atherosclerosis found people with higher DHA levels had a 12% lower risk of coronary artery plaque progression. This week, plan fatty fish for at least 1 meal. Not canned tuna. Real fatty fish. Robert went from fish once a week to twice. Small increase. Real impact on the mechanisms driving his plaque. Now I want to pause here and ask you something directly. Drop 1 word in the comments right now. Just 1 word. Write the name of the food you're going to add first. I read every single comment, and your comments directly shape which topics I cover next. Now, I want to show you something that genuinely made me angry when I first looked into it. Some of the foods causing the most arterial damage in people your age are the ones that have spent the most money convincing you they're keeping your heart healthy. Flavored yogurts are packed with added sugars. Breakfast cereals and granola bars are 15 to 25% sugar by weight in healthier packaging. Juices deliver concentrated sugars without the protective fiber of whole fruit. These trigger the exact oxidative stress and inflammation you're trying to reduce. This week, eliminate these. Buy plain yogurt and add your own sweetener. Buy whole berries instead of juice. Robert eliminated these without feeling deprived. He switched to whole berries instead of juice. Plain yogurt with his own honey instead of the flavored kind. Small swaps. Precision targeting. I call this the mechanism-targeted eating framework. Instead of asking, what diet should I follow, ask 3 questions. First, what mechanisms are driving plaque in my situation? Second, Which high-yield foods target those mechanisms? Third, how do I layer these foods into the way I actually eat? That's it. It's not a diet. It's a precision system that gives you permission to eat in whatever pattern works for your life, while targeting the actual biology driving your condition. Here's what I want you to do in the next 24 hours. Just one thing. Tonight, go to your kitchen and look at your cooking oil. If it's not extra virgin olive oil, that's your starting point. That single switch targets 3 separate mechanisms we talked about. Everything else, the fish, the tea, the flax, you'll add one at a time over the next few weeks. But tonight, the oil, that's it. This week, ask your doctor about your ApoB levels specifically, not just total cholesterol. ApoB is the particle count that actually drives plaque. If your doctor hasn't measured it, ask why. Watch for any change in your exercise capacity, any new chest discomfort, any shortness of breath with activity. Call your doctor if these happen. Here's what most people your age believe. Plaques are permanent. Once they're there, the best you can do is prevent them from getting worse. That belief is wrong. A randomized controlled trial published in the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology showed something that changed how I talk to every patient about their future. 6 months of high-intensity interval training resulted in measurable reductions in actual arterial plaque volume, not stabilization, actual shrinkage. The plaque regression was comparable to statin therapy. Your plaques don't have to be permanent. With the right signal, high-intensity exercise, your body can actually reverse them. Talk to your doctor about starting a supervised interval training program. 20 minutes, 3 times per week. Once cleared, this is not prevention. This is reversal. Second, aged garlic extract. A double-blind randomized trial showed it can stabilize vulnerable plaques. Another study showed people taking it for 1 year had lower progression of coronary calcification and improved blood pressure. 1 capsule daily with food. Robert added both. 20 minutes of interval training 3 times per week. 1 capsule of aged garlic extract daily. He didn't do these. Instead of the food changes, he did them alongside. Your arteries are damaged by a cascade that oxidative stress, LDL particles, inflammation, and immune overreaction all drive. Phytosterols reduce the actual particles driving that cascade. Lycopene targets the oxidative stress at the center. Flavonoids make arterial walls less sticky. Extra virgin olive oil repairs your endothelium. Omega-3 fatty acids stabilize plaques. And you need to stop eating foods marketed as healthy, but packed with hidden sugars. But here's the most important thing. Your plaques don't have to be permanent. 6 months of high-intensity interval training shrinks actual plaques by an amount comparable to statin therapy. Robert's follow-up imaging, 2 years later, showed plaque stabilization, not progression. The mechanisms we targeted through food and exercise, and that one supplement, actually worked. Robert didn't need a new diet. He needed to understand why foods work. Once he did, he could make choices with confidence, instead of guessing. You just spent 9 minutes learning mechanisms most people your age never understand. You learned why certain foods interrupt plaque formation at every step. You learned plaques can actually shrink. You learned the exact particle to ask your doctor to measure. You learned a framework that gives you permission to eat in a way that works for your actual life, while targeting the actual biology of your condition. Most people around you will scroll past this without thinking twice. But you chose to watch. You chose to understand. That choice separates the people whose next decade is spent thriving from the people whose next decade is spent managing decline. Share this video with one person you care about. Not because I need the views, because they need this understanding. Subscribe to The Healthy Habit and turn on your notifications. This is the only place where health information is built on one simple idea. Understanding your body matters more than following someone else's rules. One final question. Which of these high-yield foods are you going to commit to adding first? Just one. Write it in the comments. Because that commitment is how plaques stop growing and start reversing. Small habits, done consistently, are the most powerful medicine your body will ever receive. I'm Dr. Gerald Mark. Build one healthy habit today, and I'll see you in the next one. Everything I have shared today is for general informational purposes only, based on published research and clinical observation. It is not a personal diagnosis, and it is not a substitute for care from your own doctor. Please consult your physician or a qualified healthcare provider before making any changes to your medications, diet, supplements, or health routine.